And by the way, I recently read one of our department-funded studies that found that larger increases in drug-related homicides than in any other type of homicide. So these related to drug dealers is the highest, and that expansions in illicit drug markets contributed to the overall homicide rate they found.
Expansions in illicit drug markets contributed to the overall homicide rate they found. No kidding. Can Jeff Sessions really not figure out why that is? Has he ever done a lick of research on the topic? I'll fill him in. It is our drug laws that caused the violence in the first place. When we ended prohibition of alcohol, we saw a big decrease in the murder rates. Even during the Great Depression, where there was obviously economic upheaval, you would typically find higher crime rates and possibly higher murder rates, but when we ended alcohol prohibition in the midst of the Great Depression, there was a significant decrease in the murder rate. If you're taking a look at the graph on your screen, boom, check out that ramp to the right. So it was the opposite of what you would have expected, which simply goes even further to prove my point. By keeping drugs or alcohol illegal, you are insisting that all the cartels and gangs inherit the entire market. If you made alcohol illegal today, you would begin to see the same things we saw in the late 1920s and 1930s in regards to alcohol, and the same thing we see today in regards to drugs, which was an increase in violent crime and murder rates. And why is this? Because the demand is still there. People want to use the substances they want to use, and there will always be someone there to supply that demand. It does not matter how many people you throw into cages, eventually that illegal profit will be taken advantage of, and it will most likely be grabbed by someone who does not mind killing someone else to get it, which is the complete opposite of what happens in the alcohol industry today, where you need to be a competitive business person, and killing your competition, in the literal sense, is no longer an effective business strategy. But that's the thing with making drugs illegal. This creates a situation in which murder actually is a good business strategy. Stabbing and shooting your competition is the only option, because it's not like you can start an advertising campaign or promote yourself with lower prices. In my perfect world, the person who is successful at supplying the demand of marijuana or drugs or alcohol cannot become successful by killing the person selling those things down the block. They can only profit by being a more intelligent or efficient business person. They can only become successful by having a reliable product that does not kill the user by being cut with nasty additives, or by being so pure that what should have been a normal dose is actually enough to kill an elephant. And here's another point. If these drugs are made legal, Jeff Sessions does not have to respect anyone going into these businesses or anyone running these businesses. Just as a devout religious person who is fervently anti-alcohol does not need to respect someone who owns a liquor store. But that does not mean that these things should be illegal, because that means you have just taken a possibly tragic situation and you've turned it into the blood-soaked culture we see with the cartels and the black market of drugs today, which brings us full circle back to what Jeff Sessions was wisely telling us about.
Expansions in illicit drug markets contributed to the overall homicide rate they found.